Hey guys, welcome back to part two of my Mustang transmission clutch reinstall video. That was a mouthful. So here's what I have today. I got back my clutch from McLeod, and this is what it's going to look like. If you haven't seen one before, hang on a sec. Okay, so they sent me back. What happened was, if you haven't watched my first video on my transmission, I recommend you watch that to catch up. So I had to take my clutch out of the car, and I had to send it back because I had to have it resplined to a 26 tooth from a 23, because the new transmission that I picked up right there is a 26 spline, because according to Calimer, Bill's telling me that it's 56% stronger to go to a 26 versus a 23 spline. So that's what I did. I wanted to show you what I ended up doing. Was I ended up having to pull the whole thing out of the car. I probably didn't have to pull the flywheel out, but I wanted to pull it all out, take it apart, and clean it. So here are the different parts. So this is your pressure plate. This is a twin disc setup. Okay, so I've removed the flywheel, and these are twin disc setups. So that means you have a flywheel, you've got contact here, you've got contact with your first, which it says top, your first, and then here you go again, it's another contact surface, and then behind it's your second disc. So your first disc sits like this, and then you can take this off, which I'm going to see if I can get this off. I might have to put the phone down again. I might as well just go and do that now. So there you have that. And then you have your second disc. It goes like that. And then this exposes your flywheel. And like I said, this was already on the car. I went ahead and I removed it. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to send the whole thing out. Ended up only having to send the clutch itself, the disc out to be changed out. So I went to a 26 splines, and then they give you an alignment tool so you can line them all up. But the idea is we're going to go ahead and put this back in the car, and this video is going to be reinstalling the clutch. Okay guys, so you have this plate that's on the back of the motor, and I want you to notice there's these two arrows here, and they notate that this has to go on a certain place. These are pointed towards at a certain point. So I want to point out to you that you have to have your clutch. It will not line up. I'm sorry, not the clutch. The flywheel will not line up with these holes unless it goes on a certain way. So I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to show you what I'm referring to. Go ahead, pull that off. Let's go down here. Okay, so here's what you would have, okay? And I want you to see that right there they line up, okay? But if you rotate it, okay, they won't line up. Rotate it again, and they still are going to have issues lining up. And that's because they have to go a certain way. So what I did was I found this out the hard way. I played with this until I got it figured out. Once I got these to line up and I knew I had it, I looked at where these marks were, and I went ahead and I marked my flywheel as an example. Let me see if I can show you. Right there I marked it. So I know where to put it to line these up. So what I'm going to do is, oh, there it is. I'm sorry. So I marked it. So I knew where to go when I put this up. So in theory, I know that these guys need to line up right there. They're going to line up. Right there's my mark, right between these two. So I know when I go up here and I put this on, right, I'm going to line this up. And it can only go on two different ways, because there's a like a guide here, so it goes into a hole. So there you go. You can only go one, two different directions. So there it is. That's one, right? So now when I pick this up, I just have to line the white mark up with basically this right here, and I know I'm in the right spot to be able to put the screws or bolts back in, excuse me. And these are the bolts, okay? And they get torqued to 65 foot-pounds in a star pattern, and they are going to receive a drop of blue thread lock, medium strength. Okay, so I set this up here, and I lined up all the holes. And what I did was I did a star pattern crossing, and I used the bolts to snug this back into place. So this is now lined up, and it's also seated. So I pulled the bolts back out, and I have them sitting here. And I'm going to put a drop of blue Loctite on each one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to seat them all in there using my 1/4-inch impact. And then we're going to torque them down to 65 foot-pounds in a star pattern. So let me go ahead and we'll start to apply the Loctite, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I did was I put a drop, a healthy drop, but a drop of blue Loctite. And then I know it's having problems zooming in on that. But there you have it. And I will start it. I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to start it. And they were very adamant with me at McLeod. A drop, not more than that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll put that in. I decided to just turn that one in by hand. But I'm going to go ahead and put a drop on each one. And then we'll come back and we'll start to torque them down. So I set my torque. And that's on Newton meters. So let me flip it around here. So I set mine for 65 pounds. Which is what McLeod's telling me it needs to be at. And you can, listen, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can mark each one, number each one, and then, you know, you can count as you go. Like you could do 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do your pattern. What I did was I went from here up to here, down to here, over to here. And once I got that pattern down, then I just started at the bottom here, and I went the whole way around. You can do it clockwise, counterclockwise. But I wanted to make sure, as I double checked, to make sure everything was at 65 foot-pounds. Now listen, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. You go to, I'm using a traditional style. You just go to it clicks. I'm not using a digital, as you saw. You just go to it clicks. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have to hold on. I can't give you an example of this. You're going to want to hold on I'm right-handed. So I'm going to hold this with my right hand. Let me back this up a little bit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold this with my right hand, and I'm going to grab a hold up here with my left. And just to give it enough to hold it, I go till I hear it click. One click tells me I'm at 65 foot-pounds. And that's when I went to the next one. Well, the other thing I did is you have a throw-up bearing here. I went ahead and I threw some grease in that as well, some bearing grease. So it's really sticky, and it's got a different consistency from like grease that you would use on your chassis. So I threw that in there, and now I'm going to start to assemble my clutch per the instructions that were sent with my setup. So let's go ahead. We'll take it to the next step. Okay, so these kits are really user-friendly. They tell you which is on the bottom, which is on the top. They even tell you which is the flywheel side. So, because this is going to be this one's going to go in here. It's going to sit here just like this, bottom facing out, and the other side towards the flywheel. And then I will put a alignment tool in here then. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'll put the first... I'll put the next piece on here, and I'll show you all the steps. But I wanted you to see where, when it says bottom, this is the one that's closest to the engine or the flywheel. Okay, so I went ahead and I put the clutch alignment tool in, and I put the second plate in here. So what this is, and this is pretty simple. See how they have the lines marked? You want to keep them lined up. It's telling me 25 foot-pounds. It came off with a lock washer. So I'm putting it back on with a lock washer. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll torque those down. They're 13 millimeter And I will torque them down to 25 foot-pounds per the instructions. When you're done torquing it down, this should be lined up and should spin freely like that. That's correct. So I'll go ahead and I'll adjust my torque gun, my torque wrench, excuse me, set that up for 25, and I'll torque these down till they click, so that way I know they're torqued correctly. And then I'll show you where we take the second disc, because this is a twin disc, put the second disc in, and we'll put the pressure plate down on top, and then we'll torque those as well. Okay, so I went ahead and I torqued these, and it says if these don't free spin, you're to call their tech service line. That's not a problem. And again, when you're torquing these down, just to give you an idea, you listen for the click. There, you know you're there. You know you're there. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of what to look for, what it sounded like. Again, it's free spinning. So let's get to the top disc and the pressure plate. Okay, so here we have it, our second disc. It's labeled top, and of course it has flywheel side. So that's actually, we'll pull this out up here, and that would sit here like this. And then of course you would line this up so that they all line up together and free spin. And oh, got a little grease on it somewhere there. So what apparently that came, man, I hope it didn't come like that. So anyway, we're gonna clean that off because you definitely don't want any of that on the surface. So I'm not sure where that came from. That might have come off of this guy up here. We'll clean this up, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna install the pressure plate, and I'll show you the next step from there. Okay, so we went ahead and we put that in, and again, you want to keep checking to make sure it's free spinning. Now, this is not going to be on straight yet, but it comes with some hardware. Oops, I dropped a piece. So you have a flat washer that goes on the bottom. Okay. You have a split washer that goes there, and then they have you have your bolt or nut, I'm sorry, that goes on there. And what they want you to do is you'll go through, you'll put them all on. You can hand tighten them, do whatever you want, but they ultimately will go to 35 foot-pounds. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all these on and torque them up. And then before I torque them, though, I think what I'm going to do is just verify that this is still spinning, because if it's not, there's a problem. So that's my next step. You want to make sure this is aligned. It's pushed in as far as it'll go into the throwout bearing to keep everything aligned correctly. Again, and you remember your lines across the top. You're lining everything up. They make this so user-friendly for you. You know, you have, there's a, let me see, there you go, you can see it. You just keep everything lined up, and I had cleaned this up a little bit, so, you know, it does have like 6,000 miles on the clutch, somewhere in that ballpark, so I did have to wipe it down a little bit. It is a dirty job, even with it being washed down. I'm still got some dirt on my gloves, so, you know, prepare you for that. But anyway, we'll go ahead, I'll put all these on, we'll torque them down, and test spin it again just to make sure we have it all right. Okay, so I went ahead, we did these, and there is a pattern that they want you to follow. They want you to do a star pattern. You're going to start up here. Now this has moved on me, so you would start here, you would come down to here. You know, you're going to bounce back and forth. You're going to go up here. You know, they have a star pattern. You're going to follow. And they want you to start off at 25 foot-pounds, and then you're going to go back and you're going to retorque to 35. You do not put Loctite on these. They're very specific about that. Okay, so when you're done, they want you to, they said that, and I'm going to show you this, these should not be touched. They can be touching, but they should not be protruding past when you run across there, which they're not. You can see that. So they're saying it's correct, and I will show you here. I'll take the clutch alignment tool one more time. Where did I put that bad boy? Here we go. And you can see that goes right in, and it is aligned. It looks really good from there. So there you have it. That is the the installation of a twin disc. And I think this is an RXT, but that's the part number 6932-25. If you go on their website, I think it's an RXT, so it's good to 1,000 horse. But it's a nice disc, twin disc setup. And I hope you found that helpful. So, and again, these are actually, what were these? Originally I thought they were 12s, but they are 11s. So they're 11 millimeter. And there you have it. If you, hopefully you can, you have what you need to be able to do this at home as well on your own car. Check back for the next video where we're actually reinstalling the transmission and hooking everything back up. Okay, guys, so there you have it. I just want to say thanks again for checking in, watching my videos. There's a lot of other videos out there as well on this channel with the car, you know, other stuff as well. Like I said, I have a Golf R. My buddy's got a Mark II GTI. We're always doing stuff to these cars as well. And we're going to be doing more stuff to my Mustang as I get it ready for the next show season. So, you know, I hope you check it out. Like I said, we're going to have some videos on the transmission, taking it out, putting it back in, the clutch install, of course, you just watched, a worker bill mod. I'm getting ready to do the, doing one of these guys on the lip spoiler on the front of this. I'm going to be painting the calipers on this guy as well at some point. A lot of point is there's a lot of stuff going on. Also have a short throw shifter I'm going to be installing in another video as well. So I would ask is that, hey, you hit that subscribe button, keep checking back, and share it with your friends if you think it's worthy. And, you know, driven to compete, watch, like, subscribe. Have a great day.